Yes, the elephant in the room. So for those of you a little bit more familiar with Minecraft updates, the numbering, and all of that technically side of business, how it all works, this update is weird. Earlier this morning, almost shadowing the announcement of the new Tyler, the Creator album, Minecraft Beta and Preview 1.21.50. Wait a second, 24 already released. See, with Bedrock Edition and previews, things like that, the update numbering is pretty straightforward. We begin a new version on 0.20 for whatever reason, and then typically slowly, week by week, we increase from 20 to 21 and so on until the version wraps up somewhere around 0.25. Now today we're going to take a look at a much improved version of the creaking update. It's actually decently fire. However, the update, it's nowhere near done quite yet. This whole little debacle with the update numbering situation, this time around, the numbering, it really means nothing at all. You see, this all ties into exactly what we've been talking a whole lot about lately with the gigantic issue with the whole update essentially releasing for Minecraft Android players like a month and a half early. You see, last week's new update with like the difficulty, the creaking update for the first time, everything like that, and for Android players, not inside of the preview, it actually rolled out in full, which means if you updated your world, rip, it's done until the update drops. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot this brand new creaking hoodie outfit. Check that out, the hood's up now today. Now, how it goes just about every week when I'm diving into the previews, first things first, before I make the video for you, I go ahead and do a little scan of the changelog, and this line right here, I caught my attention high key. This is going to relate to something we're about to talk about too. Inside of this week's preview, I'm not sure if this is a parity update or just an update or whatever, but this thing right here, it's been updated, the texture of it. Now, I went ahead and got my scientific lens, the goggles out, and took a look at this one. Look, I might be going crazy, maybe even cross-eyed like the sheep right there. I think the texture is maybe a little bit lighter, like especially the top part right there from what it was before. I'm not too sure. The sound, is that new? Like, maybe we could hear it better if I have a light of them. I definitely don't remember that sound being a thing, but then again, I don't think I ever really thought to walk on the heavy core before. Oh, but the texture, this is so weird and kind of random. Is that lighter to you? You let me know. That's gotta be it, right? Like, definitely, totally. Let me know down below, and while you're headed down there, tap that like button. Double check, and make sure you're subscribed, because next week, there is a gigantic update probably coming out, and you're not gonna want to miss all the guides, update videos, and whatever that I have, no matter what version you play. Alright, now, before we lead into this one, I gotta send a big shout out to the legend, to Toy Cat himself. I think he was the first major YouTuber to talk about this one. Ever since the debut of the creaking update a couple of weeks ago, and then following that up with the initial implementation of literally everything that was shown off at Minecraft Live in the snapshot, we've been wondering, is there more to the update? And if there is, what is it? Well, friends, at last, we might have a hint of an answer as to what might be coming also inside of this update. And this thing that might be on the way, it's interesting, to say the least. I can't believe I'm saying this, but after 5 years, it might finally be time for the combat update that they were testing to return. German. Das ist Artikel in German. Now, of course, you know me. I'm very knowledgeable. I'm a smart man. I'm very fluent in every single language in the world, including especially German. A very not niche language, no. All right, now that I think about it, that might offend some people. That was a joke. So this little article right here is a relatively recent article being published on October 9th, 2024. This is a German publication called Spiegel, which to my understanding is a very credible, this is a pretty major and very credible news organization. They kind of have two branches, one branch for fun, one branch for serious. Quite obviously, this is going to be in the definitely serious branch, not fun at all. It consists of a couple of different interviews with like some different creators, and by creators, some of the creators are literally the creators of a Minecraft. Take a look at her. Agnes. So midway through this article, and I'll go ahead and link it down below, we have a little bit about Agnes. We have a little bit of an introduction, whatever, what is your first job? It's cool stuff. But the thing that we really care about right here is, how do you decide what to add to the game? Then Agnes says something along the lines of, we look at what players want and what we've changed recently. Changed recently, that's a big thing that we're always talking about. So anytime we dive into update speculation, trying to predict what comes next, well, when we do that, one of the major things I always remind you to do is take a look at what the last update added. So when we were talking about Minecraft 1.21 and trying to figure out what we would maybe expect, I remember specifically saying in a video, well, with 1.20 adding 2 wood types, there will probably not be a wood type in 1.21, and surprise, surprise, no wood type in 1.21. The next update, which still should totally be 1.22, drops Drops should be full numbers, guys. It's going to be a big problem. I'll talk more about it soon. Well, going forward into like the next major update, if you will, this creaking update, surprise, surprise, there's a wood type. So there's a pretty common pattern with the more recent Minecraft updates where you could take a look at what one update added, the next update, and the next update. There's an interesting pattern where you can look at across multiple updates where if one specific update doesn't add something for a certain type of player, well, then it's a pretty good guess that maybe the next update might add something for those types of players. Brand new wood for the builders. While we added new types of caves and forests to the game last year, so that's probably the caves and cliffs update, the forest is maybe the mangrove swamp biome and the cherry blossom, we will focus on other things for now, such as the combat system. This is how we want to make sure there's something for everyone in the game. We try and also add things to solve a problem. Alright, so combat system. This sure sounds a whole lot like the 1.21 update, and things that solve a problem, again, 1.21 with the vault block and multiplayer. Now, the big question here is, when was this interview taken and done? Because if this interview was taken and done, say, way earlier this year, and maybe they just didn't have the clearance to publish it quite yet, then this combat update stuff is very clearly about the combat update that just happened. However, this article being published on October 9th, long after the trickiest trial update of all time dropped, well, then there's a good strong inkling that maybe this is something that's going to happen soon. Now, combat update is something that I would love to talk a little bit more about. Maybe we take another look at those old snapshots or whatever. If any of that sounds interesting to you, let me know by telling me about it down below or just leaving a like on the video. That would be great. But a combat update, that is really interesting, and we kind of have the perfect structure just added to the game to try out maybe a brand new combat system. Based off of what King B-Dog said earlier on during the development of 1.21, we know for sure that this combat system, the new one, it would be experimental at first, later to be implemented once it's polished out. And if we know this creaking update is meant to release a little bit later this year, I don't think that the combat system will just be straight up implemented, but maybe a brand new combat experiment added to the game sometime soon, probably on both versions. What do you think? Do you think that this is a sign that maybe at last we might be getting some experimental combat that we could try out, and maybe if the system goes well, it'll release in full next year? Or do you think this is just about 1.21? All right, let's move on. The other elephant in the room, the beautiful pale garden biome. And by beautiful, oh gosh, I mean beautiful. Take a look at this thing. It looks now properly dense because they've done it. So one of the huge focuses of this brand new update is making sure this creaking update feels a little bit more polished, specifically the pale garden. Sliding into the pale garden biome, take a look at the sky. We were literally just talking about this yesterday. This is insane. So the sky right here, it's gray. Near the bottom, it was blue previously. When I slide out of the bottom, or out of the biome, I'm sorry, I'm so hyped by this. But when I slide into the biome here, ignore the top part of the sky. It's still really horrendous. But when I slide into the bottom, the lower part of the sky, oh, it kind of slowly grays out and fades into a dense gray across like the entire zone here. Dare I say that this is better than how it is on Minecraft Java, because this is a smooth transition across the entire sky. I think it's a little bit lighter down low and then gets darker up top, so still not in perfect parity, definitely not, but wow, that's good looking. Now jumping down onto the ground, into the thick of it, if you will. Wow, with that grayed out sky, it looks good. There's still a problem with the distance. We'll talk about that in a second, but wow, this looks good. Mojang has gone ahead and done it. They've upped the amount of trees inside of this biome, and in fact, it almost looks a little bit more dense than the current version of Minecraft to Java. The ground too, the ground is way different than how it is on Minecraft to Java. You're gonna see way less grass than ever before, and much more pale moss all over the place. That's because pale moss now does not require a tree to spawn. It can spawn in small patches just literally anywhere across this biome. Another change here that we're going to notice, the grass is still going to generate on the pale moss, but tall grass will generate much less. In fact, from looking through this biome, it seems like about like 7 times out of 10, if there's going to be tall grass, it's going to be on normal grass block and not on pale moss, but it definitely can happen on pale moss. And now yesterday's video talking about all of the parity differences. Next up, let's take a look at the pale log. You walk up to the tree and oh, wow, that sound. I mean, it's still that dusty, old, crusty vanilla sound. I really think a custom sound will be fire here, but whoa, take a look at that. The brand new log. This is the updated version. It's got the new texture. It's got that pale tone. The top of it is exactly the same as Java, and I think they've done it. I think this entire block is in perfect parity with Java now. Look at how pale and scary that looks. Now that I think about it, it would be really fire to find the occasional stripped tree inside of this biome, right? Like it would have raised so many questions. Who was here? Who did that? Why did they do that? And are they still here? Oh no. So walking around this biome here, it's still really quiet. The pale moss sound, it sounds really, really nice, but the sound that is meant to come from the hanging moss when it's on a leaf or a pale oak block, it doesn't seem to be playing very often inside of this biome still. This is a major part of the update. It's something I really honed in on yesterday, and yeah, I really hope that they get around to polishing this a little bit more, because the sounds on Java that they play so frequently, it makes it so eerie here. They need to happen more. Fog. More fog inside of this biome. It's one of the largest community ideas and requests for this biome. Like the idea of a more dense fog inside of this place, it will make it instantly feel more creepy, and just in general, you want to expand that concept to other biomes. It would be really cool to see. Maybe dense-ish fog in the dark oak forest, heavy fog in the swamp, and maybe like none of the birch forest. Whoa. Those leaves look crazy. Huh? I know this is like a rendering thing. I guess it's like when they're far away. I've never noticed that before on Bedrock. Is that some kind of different change, or... Oh, that's weird how that rendering is being done. Has that always been like that? What? Oh, Smoky Stack, you legend. I love you. I can't believe it. You've already found it. The Pale Garden technically has fog now in Minecraft Bedrock. This is to combat a specific bug. Take a look at this. The fog start, the fog end, the fog color. Now, I don't know if this is something that will be rolled out in maybe, say, next week's preview or whatever. We'll have to stay tuned to find out, because right now it doesn't seem like this biome has any fog whatsoever, unless we're talking about like on the horizon, far off in the distance or something. But yeah, there's seemingly no fog quite yet, but it seems like maybe Mojang has heard us. I mean, there's no way you could disagree with this one, in my opinion. Like the biome 100% will be even more cool and eerie with more fog. A big update to how the trees work, but not a parity update, because the trees are still going to work a little bit differently. So let's say I wanted to grow one of these brand new pale trees. Well, when I grow these pale trees now, every single time I'll be able to have pale hanging moss generate on these trees, but as noted in the changelog, there is still going to be 0 pale moss when this tree grows every single time. I think it's kind of cool that pale moss can grow with these trees, and 100% should be changed to make it how Java is. I've also seen a couple of you ask questions about bone mealing the leaves to maybe grow the moss, and yeah, that doesn't work, but that's a super cool idea as well. Bone meal the bottom of the leaf, grow the moss. Pale oak. Now this brand new wood set is beautiful. So we've got that big texture change with the strip log, but the sign as well. And now I think this is a sneaky little thing that made it into Java that actually the whole time was a sign the Java log was just updated. But the hanging sign on Java is a little bit more gray in the preview right now, and it looks like that's how it's going to stay until the full release of the update. Meanwhile, over here on Bedrock, this is like a white, bright hanging sign. Look at how good it looks. Another sneakily subtle little parity change here involves what happens on the ground inside of this biome, because while moving around here, not only do we have a ton of pale moss, I still totally think we need like a new flower or plant or something, maybe a couple. After all, why is this place called a garden and the flower forest is called a forest, huh? What? But there no longer will be any flowers that will generate inside of this biome. Last week, I found at least dandelions being able to generate in this place, and yeah, right now, no dandelions. Sizing and placement of this biome. So unfortunately, there has been no change with the proper size of this biome or placement. This biome should be found in the same exact spot that it was last week, just a whole lot more dense, and they're still typically kind of small. Next up of the day, the creaking heart. The creaking heart, the creaking heart. A couple of different more so bug fixes with this thing. For example, control grabbing this thing. Usually it would like copy the exact data and everything like that. It doesn't do that any longer. If I control pick this thing, I just get a brand new creaking heart block, not like a powered on one or anything like that. Previously, the creaking heart block was able to be moved by pistons, and now it is no longer movable by a piston. Now we gotta be quick with this one, but check this block out. When one spawns just like that, particles are emitted. And then if I go ahead and remove this thing, particles again. Now, I'm a little confused by this one, if I'm being honest, because I believe this is how this worked before. But according to the changelog, no, this is the change that I'm talking about specifically. I guess I just don't fully get it. One more time, why not? We have the thing spawn in over there with the particles. Maybe that's new, like the cloud of smoke, and then we remove it. And then it kind of falls apart. I thought that's how that worked before, though. The smoke definitely feels new, though, for sure. Now, speaking of the update, to the Java update and what's going on with 1.21.40, 1.21.2, Bundles of Bravery update should just be 1.22. What's going on with that update? Well, earlier today, a brand new release candidate dropped, and then earlier this week, a couple more pre-releases released. I did go ahead and make a short on some of those pre-releases, so check that out, but otherwise, check out Slice Lime's channel. He's got videos on all the updates. When it comes to the proper release date for this update, strangely enough, usually we get a date in a release candidate changelog, but no date quite yet. If I had to take a guess, I would still think next Tuesday, October 22nd. Here we are, last but definitely not least today, a big parity update, a huge shift in the meta when it comes to block mining for Minecraft Bedrock Edition. Every single one of these blocks, I had no clue before, but previously on Bedrock, you could break these things with anything, even your hand, and the block would actually drop, including the furnace. So this has been a thing for like essentially ever. Now, if you want these blocks to actually drop, you're gonna have to mine these things with a pickaxe. Who was mining enchanting tables with their hands? Huh? Alongside those blocks, we have a couple other small parity updates with other blocks and how they'll drop too. Anyways, for today, that's just about it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Tap like, subscribe for more. Brand new update coming out probably next week, so stay tuned. Big God's on the way. I don't think I'll be live tomorrow, but members, I think hopefully there will be a brand new exclusive video. Tap join for more, and I'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.